This podcast serves Middle Tennessee every weekday morning, and it's made possible by member support. Learn how you can make a difference at WPLN.org/support.
This is the Nashville Ridge Podcast. It's November 25th, 2025. On this day in 1863, a turning point in the Civil War, and it happened here in Tennessee on Missionary Ridge in Chattanooga. I'm Tony Gonzalez, in for Nina Cardona, and this is your daily digest of what's happening around Middle Tennessee with historical context from Nashville Public Radio, WPLN News. Believe me when I say that we're choosy about our Civil War history in this podcast space. But this date looms large as what many consider a turning point or decisive moment in that nation-changing Civil War. Chattanooga had been under siege by Confederate troops, but then came the turnabout. It happened on Missionary Ridge. That's the ridge, you really can't miss it, on the southeast side of Chattanooga. Union General Ulysses S. Grant ended up taking some 50,000 soldiers up that ridge, eventually sending the Confederates on the retreat toward Georgia. Chattanooga would become a stronghold for the Union and its supply chains. The American Battlefield Trust calls the outcome one of the most dramatic turnabouts in American military history. And some go further with the superlatives. The National Park Service, which now oversees monuments on Missionary Ridge, quotes a famous analysis from a Civil War officer who calls the battle, quote, the death knell of the Confederacy. In just a few minutes, a profile on Henry J. Starr, the WNXP Nashville Artist of the Month. That's coming up after the newscast.
At WPLN, we tell stories about honoring our families.
If he become a monk, that means that mom and dad will go to heaven when they pass away.
And preserving memories.
I never heard of a Rosenwald School. Nobody never told me that's where I went.
I'm Char Daston, and my reporting connects you with your neighbors and the important moments in their lives.
For WPLN News in Nashville, I'm Tony Gonzalez. Immigration and Customs Enforcement are targeting people appearing at local traffic courts. ICE agents detained 5 people who went to the Robertson County Court last week to take care of their traffic tickets. The Tennessee Lookout reports that the 5 appeared before a judge and paid their fines before being taken to a separate area out of public view. 15 minutes later, they came out wearing leg shackles and handcuffs secured to chains around their waists. It's unclear what their legal status is in the United States. ICE has targeted non-citizens in the U.S., as well as some legal immigrants and asylum seekers. The arrests come as ICE agents face increasing criticism for arresting people inside civil and criminal courtrooms. The Boring Company hosted an informational session yesterday about its Nashville project on X, the social media platform owned by the company's founder, Elon Musk. The Boring Company president, Steve Davis, answered questions about safety and potential disruptions from construction. The company plans to build a roughly 10-mile tunnel system between the airport and downtown Nashville. Davis repeatedly made boastful assertions about the tunneling process and its environmental risks.
People should be very clear that from a water quality, this will have zero effect, zero impact on anything like water quality.
Environmental experts in Nashville have suggested that there are risks to streams in the area. Tunneling may also impact the underground movement of water given the city's limestone terrain. Davis says the Boring Company will release an environmental assessment in December. U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi appeared in Memphis yesterday, touting the work of the so-called Memphis Safe Task Force. It's an effort by President Donald Trump to combat violent crime in the city, which has grappled with violence in recent years. Roughly 300 homicides were committed last year. Flanked by Governor Bill Lee and Senators Marsha Blackburn and Bill Hagerty, Bondi extolled the work of the task force.
This surge in Memphis has dramatically dropped crime. The numbers tell the story themselves. They are undeniable.
Bondi said roughly 3,100 arrests have been made and 500 firearms have been seized. However, crime had fallen in Memphis prior to the task force's deployment, and there are concerns over the group's efforts. An investigation by ProPublica and MLK 50 found that residents have reported concerns over unnecessary arrests, racial profiling, and harassment by the officers. An MLK 50 analysis of 1 day's worth of arrest records found that nearly 3/4 of the 51 people arrested in October on that day were not charged with a violent crime. A spokesperson for the U.S. Marshal Service denied racially profiling residents in the majority black city. The arrests have also strained Shelby County's criminal justice system. The county mayor has requested more judges to move through cases faster, and the county jail is facing overcrowding. Nashville Mayor Freddie O'Connell has filed his capital spending plan for next year. These are mostly long-term infrastructure projects that often require a lot of money. WPLN's Cynthia Abrams breaks down what is in the $532 million plan.
The biggest recipient is Metro Schools. That money will go to a new elementary school in Antioch, early designs for renovations at McGavick High School, and district-wide maintenance. Some of the other big-ticket items include $50 million for road repair. That's fixing potholes and repaving. And there's also a large chunk, $38 million, for the East Bank development. These dollars will go toward early infrastructure work. Cynthia Abrams, WPLN News.
Infrastructure on the East Bank will end up costing the city a lot more than that $38 million. Just last week, Metro struck a deal to build a new performing arts center on the East Bank. As a part of that agreement, the city will fork over close to $50 million to adjust the pedestrian bridge. Most Tennessee voucher funds are going to schools with inconsistent testing measures that are often rooted in Christianity. The Nashville Banner found that about 1/4 of private schools which participate in the statewide voucher program actually publicize the evaluations they use. This data is the only way the Department of Education can track student performance. The voucher program is expected to cost more than $1 billion over the next 5 years, and some lawmakers question why taxpayer funds are going to schools that lack transparency and accountability. Many of the schools are using religious standardized tests rather than the Tennessee Comprehensive Assessment Program, or TCAP. 16 schools use books made by a company that blamed former President Barack Obama for divisive rhetoric and that deny the existence of evolution. It's been more than a decade since the New York Times declared Nashville America's It City. Now, if a new report from PwC and the Urban Land Institute is to be believed, some of that shine may have worn off slightly. The Emerging Trends in Real Estate report has been quite kind to Nashville historically. The city topped its rankings of markets to watch 3 years in a row before slipping to 5th place last year. In the latest edition, out this month, Nashville slipped further to 6th place. Ahead of Nashville on the latest list are Dallas, Miami, Houston, and with not one but two big leaps for the New York area, Brooklyn, and Jersey City. And our state is expected to set the record for the most travel this week. Whether flying or driving, AAA is estimating nearly 2 million Tennesseans will take a trip of more than 50 miles from home starting today through the following Monday. So far, the recent cutbacks to flights could require being more flexible, so anticipate staying at the airport a little longer. Coming home on Sunday and Monday would be the most expensive. Best day to travel, according to AAA, is Thanksgiving Day. You'll find more news anytime at WPLN.org. Dystopian fiction has been a big hit at the box office and in books for a while, but a Nashville artist is now bringing that genre to music. Knoxville transplant Henry J. Starr's debut album, The Soft Apocalypse, weaves the personal, political, and fictional into an emo epic that expresses generational anxiety. Starr is WNXP's Nashville Artist of the Month, and he recently spoke with Jason Moon Wilkins. They began by discussing the inspiration behind the concept album.
Yeah, I unfortunately feel as though we are living through the end of the world in a lot of ways, and had set out to create a space to process that. So as the shutdown happened and we experienced a global pandemic, all of these people are suffering and dying. Things were looking scary politically at that time, and now it has escalated past the point of return, it feels like. So I just wanted to process these things, and I did it over the course of many years. A lot of these songs I started writing 5 years ago, and I was experiencing a personal apocalypse at the time too, and so I wanted to write a story where the world did end, but it was okay that it was ending. I was just experiencing a lot of anxieties that eventually, through so much therapy and so much talking to people, I found a way through that, or at least like reoriented my relationship to those things. But at the time, it very much felt like every day when I was waking up that I was going to die, one way or another.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the record was just me processing all of the ways in which I felt an apocalypse was occurring. In a very literal sense, the record ends with New Sky and the world ends in New Sky. And it is okay in the end. And at the top of the record, it's kind of this moment of weakness, kind of giving up, thinking, I have no idea how I'm going to, keep going.
Everything is killing me. Everything is taking its time. Have a little pill and ruin my mind. I'm praying may the sword be gentle in the spine.
I wanted to walk through a few songs in particular too, if you're up for that.
Yeah.
One being petrichor. Was unfamiliar with this word before, which I assume you know what it means if you want to first give the definition of that.
So it's the smell of the earth, specifically concrete, I guess, after rain, after it's been a long time since it's rained.
Yeah.
Which to me is a very peaceful thing to think about. Like, I love the idea of that smell, the smell of the earth after it's been so long since it's rained. I think that is a comforting thing.
But the song isn't necessarily about that.
No.
Yeah.
So the song I wrote the day that the news broke about Ahmaud Arbery being murdered. And that was certainly not the first time that I had been deeply affected by the death of someone due to police brutality or white supremacy in the States. I lost family members to that kind of thing growing up. I think for me, that day was particularly harrowing because I had had that conversation with so many people before about what it means to go on a run or a walk in places you're unfamiliar with and what the result of that could be, which unfortunately that day for Ahmaud Arbery was being killed in the street. And so I wrote petrichor in order to grieve that. I just had no idea what to do with it. I was just so confused and frustrated and upset, and I wanted to write something with the sentiment of hoping that in his final moments, Ahmaud Arbery was able to experience that peace that I received from petrichor. I was hoping that in his final moments, in those last breaths, he was able to receive at least some kind of peace, and so that is what petrichor is ultimately about.
What if I die today? I regret it if I stay in and wait. Why am I thinking always? I need a nice brisk jog on a spring or a summer day. Finally left the couch, told my mom out loud, so it's real now. On my way out, I shout, I love you and I'm sorry that I don't always reach out. Yeah, didn't make it far. My legs have failed me and I'm scared that I'd see an endless body.
You can find Henry J. Starr's full interview and see his live performance at WNXP.org. Thanks for listening to the Nashvillager podcast. We take this look at Nashville news every weekday. If you like it, go ahead and subscribe on your favorite podcasting app and tell a friend or give us a mention on your social media. Of course, everything at WPLN News is listener supported. You can become a donating member at WPLN.org/give. And that's it for today. Thanks so much for listening.